The following podcast is scheduled for one recording with no time limit. Making their way down to somewhere in the ring, Andrew Sanford and Ryan Sprague.
Brie, thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me back. Welcome back to Somewhere in the Ring. And if you're joining, welcome to Somewhere in the Ring. Ryan already started recording, so I'm going to do one of those old-fashioned jump in with an awkward intro. This is Somewhere in the Ring, where we talk about pro wrestling, mostly WWE stuff, and sometimes other stuff as well. Art the Clown, Defy Wrestling. Go check out our Define Wrestling stuff. Oh man, I lost it. I lost the thread. We're here to talk about SummerSlam, and we have a very special guest.
She's back, baby. She is back.
Yay. Hi, Brie.
Hi. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to be back. I have been consuming so much wrestling content. Like I already was before. So now that we're like fresh off of SummerSlam, I feel like I've got more lore in my brain to talk about with you guys. So I'm so excited.
My gosh. There's so much to talk about. Before we get to SummerSlam, though, Brie, we do have to ask, you had a new video come out.
I did.
Of course, as subscribers to your channel, we both watched it. This was your reaction video to several matches that people wanted you to watch. So before we get to what happened yesterday at SummerSlam,
Yeah,
I passed
Brie,
it on to
you did. How was it? Which matches did you watch? And break it down for us.
Yeah. All right. So I had a lot of comments from that first WrestleMania video to scrub through to figure out what exactly I was going to watch. But overwhelmingly, I feel like between what aligned with what I was interested in and what people were saying, I chose the ladder match, the custody match of Dominic Mysterio. That was a big one. Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley from WrestleMania 39, which was incredible. Nice. And then everyone overwhelmingly, in fact, I think you guys actually had asked me initially to react to Undertaker versus Mankind Hell in a Cell. And I was like, wait, I can't do that one. Everyone suggested it. Like, I need to do it for a video. So sorry. So we ended up watching a different one. But yeah, so I watched those three. I fought with the WWE copyright gremlins yet again. And I had to pivot and sort of make like the same format as my WrestleMania video, where I just kind of like talked it through and told people what I was thinking and my experience, and I sort of cut in my reaction as I had it. And it was great. And throughout that video, I asked people, are there other matches with like, Charlotte Flair that you would want me to see? Because that was my first time seeing her, and she was watching her and Rhea go up against each other. Crazy. Like so dominant. My only other match I had watched Rhea in was Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. And not that Becky is not like a very dominant person. Like, she is an incredible wrestler. There was something about Charlotte that was a little bit different and a little bit more like feral. I don't know how to describe it. Like Charlotte to me like had that vibe.
She's like a fighter too. Like something we talk about a lot is that the best wrestling comes out of like where you're kind of on the line between believability and like not believable. And with Becky, I think any of us, like, were it not a wrestling match, Rhea Ripley would probably beat Becky Lynch. Like, right? Like, whereas I don't know who would win a fight between Rhea Ripley and Charlotte. Like that way. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I get what you're saying.
I was trying to figure out, because from some of the comments, I don't read all the comments just for my own mental health, but like,
should you?
Yeah, this one was a little more divisive than the last one, let me tell you. But I got the sense that some people did not love Charlotte Flair, and I don't have any background on her other than this match. So I don't know if you guys have more background on like why people wouldn't like Charlotte, but curious.
I would assume a lot of that comes from the issue of nepotism within the wrestling world. She is Ric Flair, the famous wrestler's daughter. So
he's the worst.
Is he actual?
He's real bad. Yeah.
Oh, no.
If you had to,
he's real bad.
Andrew, if you had to do a Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair,
They're both bad people. They're both bad people.
Okay,
both
so we're
very bad
staying
people.
even.
Yeah.
No.
So,
Yeah.
but that is to say, like, you can separate the child from
Sure.
the parent. I think she's
What?
great.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You can separate the child from the parent?
Yes, it's called emancipation, Andy.
It's called We Do a Custody Ladder Match.
Yeah, there you go.
For the emancipation of Charlotte Flair.
Oh
I
my
like
god.
that. Okay, that's good context. I guess I didn't know that much about Ric Flair other than like the name. So
Yeah.
okay.
If you want to, I think there are plenty of people that will try to push his legacy one way or the other. I think a very good example of why Ric Flair is such a terrible person is brought across in. There was a Dark Side of the Ring episode about something called the Plane Ride from Hell. Which was which like trigger warnings abound for sexual assault and things of that nature, but it is something where a bunch of wrestlers were trapped on it, were on a plane for like 12 hours and stinking drunk and doing awful things, and Ric Flair was one of them. Yeah.
Okay,
And that's like
that's
one of
good
those things
context.
that's one of those things where it's like that is kind of hard for anyone to argue that what happened on that plane did not happen, because so many people kind of told the same story. Some of the other stuff that has been said about Ric Flair, you could write off as, oh, it's an accusation, or it's this, or it's that. There's like 5 or 6 people on that plane that like are just like, yeah, he did this awful thing to this poor woman who was on the plane. So,
oh my gosh. Okay, so
stuff,
I see where those comments come from a little bit.
Look, we can be frank and just say that when women are especially very dominant in any field that they do, there are people that will come out of the woodwork to shoot them down. And I think that's part of what it is for Charlotte Flair too. Especially in pro wrestling, there's this thing when people are just very good and presented as very good. It just takes people a long time to latch onto that. If they don't go along with it right away, that person will meet some resistance. And I feel like Charlotte Flair is maybe a victim of some of that stuff because she's phenomenal.
That's
She is
interesting.
amazing.
Do you think, as I haven't looked into like Rhea's, I've seen her from before she really became this superstar that she is today, but like, did she have that same journey? Like, do you think people liked her right out of the gate, or was this like a workup?
I think people liked her pretty well. And I do think once, I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly why.
Yeah, she just like has it.
Reaction to her was pretty strong.
Okay.
Once she debuted in the main roster and they stuck her with Edge. And all that stuff. It's so funny to think of. Judgment Day had some very weird, magic, mystical, humble beginnings, and it turned into something completely different.
I gotta do a deep dive. Yeah. I feel like now I have to do like a deep dive video on like Judgment Day because I haven't, so I don't even know how it started. I know how Dominic got there, and that I kind of started getting into that after I watched the custody match because I'm like, okay, he used to be like a babyface, and now like I want to see how this actually progressed. So yeah, very interesting.
And he's somebody too where he was definitely a babyface, but there were also those like he is somebody who became not a victim. Like people didn't like that he was Rey Mysterio's son. And he wasn't. I will say he wasn't the best in-ring performer at first either. And then they just leaned into that. And on top of him getting better, they were like, okay, if people don't like him, let's just make that worse.
Yeah. The WWE loves to lean into things. Which
I appreciate. I will say, like, speaking of, Rey Mysterio, I watched that ladder match, that custody ladder match, and that was my first time seeing Eddie Guerrero. He's incredible. He's a phenomenal villain. And to get halfway, almost all the way through that match and realize he had died so young was like heartbreaking. That was so upsetting. Yes.
A few months after that match you watched. I remember watching your video as you were live reacting. I'm like, oh God, if she only knew what was going to happen to him months later. It was very tragic. I mean, the man had some demons, that's for sure, as a lot of wrestlers did, but he overcame them and he was doing well. And that's what makes it so much more tragic is it was a very unexpected passing away in a hotel right before an event. And it's sad how often that happens to these men and women. And man, yeah.
That's what I keep hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Someone commented, they were like, you're going to have to get used to thinking, did they retire? And then finding out that they died because it happened. And they died so young.
Yeah. And from anything. Like, it is just this wide array. We've talked about it quite a bit on this show, but Dark Side of the Ring it's a documentary show on Vice, and there's plenty of those stories.
Too many. They're on their like 5th season, which is sad to say, but
But like when you've had something that's running as long as wrestling has, like you're gonna have a lot of that. That's like a lot of people. They keep telling me, they're like, "Oh, you're into horror, like you would love Bray Wyatt," and I'm like, I know I would, but there's something very heavy about like consuming content from someone won't make that content ever again. And it's like, I almost feel like I missed the boat. And it's like, I don't want to fall in love with a character that I know is not here anymore. Like that's so heavy.
Yeah, no, I get that. And it's also one of those weird, I mean, we've seen it play out, and we'll get to SummerSlam in a moment. Anybody who's listening, recap. But we're watching
deep immediately.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's me.
That's why we love having you on, Brie. Trust me.
Absolutely.
We with Bray too. We're now watching his storyline kind of continue, and there are elements of that feel kind of weird. Like it's good that it's like his brother, and I get that aspect of things. But then you're like, well, his brother wasn't involved with him for most of the time that he was doing stuff in the WWE. And what is really the creative voice that's being pushed forward now? And is it like respectful to keep this going? And I think it kind of that stuff gets muddied no matter what entertainment field you're talking about. But I totally understand that apprehension when it comes to doing a deep dive into him.
He has a documentary as well, right? Like after he passed, they did one. Yeah, I'll have to watch that. I feel like that would be a good place to start.
Yeah, get the tissues. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. There's a lot of that in wrestling, as it turns out. But hey, we can talk about happier things. Sorry, I immediately.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, let's talk SummerSlam, baby. Let's go to the barbecue. Some jelly roll. Come on, guys. What better way
Jelly roll was there
to start the show than with jelly roll?
I would. I am just going to very quickly say I had work last night, so I had to bartend, and then I got home around like 10, and I was like, okay, Eastern Standard Time, and I was like, okay, I am just gonna I can probably start the replay now. Not the case. You have to wait until it's over. So I was like, okay, I'll just wait. It'll probably be over at 11. Like that'll be fine. It'll be whatever. And then a part of Peacock's thing is that the replay can't be done until the press conferences are over, which it didn't end until like almost 1 a.m. somewhere around there. Yes. So I found a little workaround though, which is that the broadcast in Spanish with the Spanish announcers is released much sooner. So I watched the first 5 matches of this with Spanish announcers, and it was thrilling. It was that aspect of it was really fun.
Do you speak Spanish now?
No. In fact, I took 3 years of Spanish, and my 3rd year taking Spanish, my Spanish teacher told me, "I think your time in Spanish is done." And I was like, I once tried on a Spanish test and got a 0. I have been. My wife and I, our honeymoon was in Mexico, and like when you're kind of thrown into a place, sometimes things will click. Like I can get some things, but also I will say the sound is not great for the Spanish announcers for whatever reason, because they're doing this weird thing where it feels like they're trying to block some of the crowd noise. So I was just kind of.
So they were like talking through like a McDonald's drive-through speaker, and you were like, "All right, sure."
Like it wasn't great. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I feel bad for. Like it seemed kind of.
Well,
silly.
It's so sad too because it's usually their table that gets crashed through during an event. It's always the Spanish announce table for some reason.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, that's like a recurring thing. That is for whatever reason. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
So that could have
learning so much.
But yeah, so that's how I watched those first handful of matches. I think the only ones I didn't watch that way were Punk and McIntyre and the two main
Cody
matches
Rhodes
of
and
the
Solo
night.
Sikoa.
Yeah, Cody
Okay.
Rhodes and
Yeah.
Solo, and then the Gunter and Damian Priest.
Oh,
Aside
that's
from
right. That
that,
was in between. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Yep, it was a good time. It was a good time.
Let's set it up a little. So Andrew watched it in Spanish at like 1 a.m. I stayed up till I think about 3:30 or so in the morning because it didn't
Your
start
time
till
zone.
midnight here in the UK. But Brie, what was your setup? Did you have a viewing party? Yeah.
So
That's how this
same
went
deal
down?
as WrestleMania. We have a
Nice.
friend that gets all the pay-per-views, and so we go over to his house and we cozy up on the couch together, and we have our snacks, and it's just like impeccable vibes. We were all ready. We also play a game, so we will bet on who is going to win each match, right? So we have like a little notes app in my friend's phone. And so we were all placing bets, and that was super fun. I lost, by the way, so hard. And I lost because not because I didn't see the results coming, but I don't play to win. I play to be loyal to my people. Okay. So I knew Rio was going to lose that match, but I was like, I refuse to go against her. I will, to this day, I was like, I will die on this hill. So I lost with like 2 points because I was just going with my people.
Well, I'm glad somebody stayed loyal to mommy.
She got betrayed left and right.
Let's get to it, guys.
Also, with the gambling, let me just say, I can't wait until you get to Royal Rumble next year, Brie, because that's the most fun one to like play a little game. Something I have done with friends is you just take 1 through 30, put those numbers in a hat. Everybody draws those numbers, and those are your Royal Rumble representatives for the night. It's good stuff.
I'm gonna do that. That's so fun. Okay, I'm gonna keep that in mind.
High stakes, baby.
A lot of fun.
All right. So, guys, opening SummerSlam 2024. We had the Women's World Championship, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. We've been watching this story play out for a long time now. It's been probably one of my favorite stories in a very, very long time, as Andrew can attest. I was big on the Liv and Dom thing. And we saw it kind of come to, I wouldn't say a conclusion.
Oh, no.
But I'd say we're just hitting the intermission. So let's see here. Where should we start? The match was pretty damn good from the get-go. And what do you think? What do you think, Andrew?
Without giving too much away, I think this match set a very high bar that the rest of the night was not able to live up to.
Interesting.
Yes, in storytelling, in the quality of the match, in just how much the crowd was into it. There was obviously some things at the very end that we'll get into later that it kind of pulled everything over this hump, but not to give away too much about how I feel about this pay-per-view. I think that this was the high bar for the
awesome.
Interesting. I was a little surprised that they put them first because so many people had been waiting for Rhea to come back, and like this story was really played up, you know.
Well, and I would agree with that because if honestly the only I think match order was one of the biggest issues for the night because obviously you want to start hot and you want to start with like a big match, but I think that should have either been Punk and McIntyre or Cody and Solo. I think though one of those two should have been the first match. Yep. I think this one, like, there's more storytelling wise that goes on here. There's more that felt organic about what happened here. The twist, the Dom kind of something that I absolutely loved about this match, and we'll just go into like full on spoilers, obviously, for what's going on, is that it played into Dom being an opportunist in that he didn't necessarily like screw Rhea over, but he took advantage of when she was losing and then was like, I'm going to hop over here now. Like, I think he clearly like he points out to the ref, like the count is happening and like something, but it felt very in the, which I appreciated. And spoke to his kind of like, you know, rat trying to get off a sinking ship mentality.
Yeah.
That
rat with a
so
mustache.
well
Rat.
Yeah, the announcer spared. You didn't get to hear the announcers in English,
Oh, no.
Andrew, but they were less than kind to Dom. Let's say that. They went in pretty hard.
Well, okay. And here's what I liked that this match was first, because I think this was one of the most fleshed out storylines of the entire event.
Sure.
And here's my problem with that. Great way to start the night. I think it was a fantastic match. But I have this thing with outside events where, for me, when it's still light outside, for some reason, I don't feel like I'm getting the full sort of feel of an event. And also with these outside events, you can't hear the crowd as well because it's just going up into the heavens. So when the show started, I just felt like you couldn't hear any of the crowd. You couldn't hear how loud they were popping for like Rhea's final return to the ring. And that always
it was their
bothered
first
me.
match, huh? First match.
Yeah,
since,
that was her first match since coming back.
Yep.
And I mean, she went all out. She popped her shoulder back into place
That was
twice.
crazy.
Oh my God. I hate that sort of stuff.
So
I hate
I
that.
do too.
And I thought it was real. I honestly
I
thought
did too. We all kind of went silent because we were like, ooh, she's either really selling that or that is real, and they're gonna have to stop the match. I was like, I could not tell because it looked bad, and she was really selling it. So yeah, we were all like, oh, I don't know if this is actually supposed to happen.
And that's the beauty of it. Like Andrew and I have been watching wrestling forever, and still there are moments where we're like, wait, is that, should that, wait, did they? Yeah, it's genius. So I mean, awesome match, I thought. Here's my other question for you guys. They introduced something in this match at the beginning of the night, the ref cam, which they didn't really go back to that much throughout the event, for good reason. I thought it was
they tried a couple times.
Yeah.
There was some of that only because I literally just finished the Solo and Cody match before that. I like that they're trying new things. Some of the camera angles were some of the biggest issues with the night.
They were so weird.
Thing. They were so weird, and they gave a lot. They made these guys look worse than they are a lot of times. One moment in particular, later on during the Damian Priest and Gunther match, I thought was almost unacceptable. So we'll get into
Okay.
I feel like I probably
know
part of that was about.
And part of that was the camera angle. Part of it might be Gunther's fault. We'll get into that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There was one camera that was like, we were joking that it was Predator vision because it was just like to pink. It was like low and it was pink, and I was like, "What is happening here? Like, what is this camera?"
It was
Predator
strange.
Interesting. Made it interesting, but definitely. A weird time to get experimental, probably.
Very good point. Yeah, you think they would try this out at a SmackDown or something?
Right.
Apparently not. I guess let's fast forward. Dom stops Rhea from hitting Liv with a chair. Helping her, saying you're gonna get a DQ. Like you can't win the title this way. Let's play.
I was about to say, Brie. And I'm only going to add, like, are you aware of the disqualification rules when it comes to a title belt being on the line?
I wasn't, but it was explained to me as we were going, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. So I was still kind of holding out hope that like she wasn't going to get betrayed. I was like, oh, this could go either way, but
just because I think it's a fun thing. Would you mind explaining it to our audience, just in case there's anybody else who may not be, or anybody out there who may not be aware of the disqualification?
You want me to explain it?
Yeah, come on.
The last person that I got from it was that if you use a chair, you cannot actually like win the belt. Like that's all I got from it.
Basically, if you are disqualified, you obviously don't win. But also, if you are the champion and you are disqualified, you don't lose your belt.
Don't lose the belt. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
That I did not know.
Yeah. So at one point, when Liv is trying to hit her with the chair, that was like a fun, calculated. Obviously, they can't do that like too much because any champion would just think like, oh, I'll just get in the ring and hit him with brass knuckles in front of the ref and I'm out of here. So just fun.
That's interesting. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, the match went on, and then the chair somehow made its way back into the ring again by
I guess Dom must have put
Dominic.
that in there. Did I miss it? Did I miss him
Yeah,
putting
he
the chair
did.
back in the ring?
He
Oh,
did.
never mind. Never mind.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Ooh,
think this
cool.
was a long time coming. I don't.
Cool.
I think he was pretending ever since Rhea got back.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
my interpretation of what happened.
I'm pretty
Fair.
sure during
That's
our
probably more
prediction
accurate.
episode, I might have mentioned that too, Andrew, that I think he's gonna turn on her. Not that Brie and I were the only ones to make this stunning revelation, but yeah,
They set
I
it
thought
up
it played
well.
out really
Yeah.
well. And
Mhm.
oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that look on Rhea's face at the end of the match, she
Fantastic.
was
Yeah.
pissed, heartbroken. Like I've never seen her. That was the best acting she's ever done, in my
She's so
personal
good.
opinion. Yeah, yeah.
She is so
And
good.
and if we didn't think Dom could get any more heat,
I know.
flipping off 54,000 people on the way out was just like amazing. And
Yeah.
Yeah. On
man,
that
was-
very, 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 very long walk out.
oh my
On
god.
that very,
Yes,
they
thank
were
you for
walking.
saying that.
They were walking backwards, and I was like, "Y'all, come on,
You gotta
Just
wait.
turn.
Right, you gotta
I
like
understand
run.
that the camera is still on you. This is bad. There is only one time in the whole night where that walkway felt an appropriate length.
Yeah.
I'll save that. I'll save that for later.
Yeah,
Aside from that,
yeah.
I was like, this is too long. This is much too
Comically
long.
long,
It's
as we'll
funny.
get to later on, because you have these people trying to make surprise like entrances, and it takes them like an hour to get down there.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
The only
We'll get to it.
whoever decided to have Finn Balor come out through the crowd later deserves a promotion, because
Genius.
that was the only time where I was like, oh snap, somebody showed up. Oh no, and yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's okay, so Liv retains the title, betrayed. So we clearly have one member of the Judgment Day who is feasibly on his way out. He's done,
Yeah.
or something.
I hope so.
We don't know what's
really,
going to happen.
I don't want a Judgment Day splinter group like we're having with the Bloodline right now. So I hope they just kind of. Because also, I know I'll save that. I'll say, dag nabbit. There's
I
something I'm
know.
gonna bring
We're
up
saving
later.
so much.
Yeah. Well, hold on to it. But
Let's grade this match, guys, and
cool.
we'll move on. We do an A to F grading scale for each match, Brie. So what would you give our opening match, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley?
I mean, I'm giving it an A, right? Like, that's my girl. Sure. Even though she got betrayed, I feel like this was so well done. And like you said, the story was good and it started off strong. Like, it's an A.
A. Yeah. Andrew?
Same. I gave it an A. I thought it was a great match.
Well.
I thought this storytelling was great. Wrestling was great. It's played very well into the something that's we talked about this earlier with Becky. What's kind of interesting is they kind of make it seem like she could win the fight, and with Liv, I don't think they try that as much, which I think makes it a more interesting match. She's always having to like do little sneaky trick type things, and then there was one reversal where I think Rhea was trying to put her up for like a Samoan drop or something, and Liv flipped around and dropped her with a DDT, and it was very good. Very good. So I like I think they've got those two their style matches really well.
Yes.
So
Liv
I don't know if I want to see.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to see them wrestle again, but
no.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Really, I'm still holding out hope that I've heard that they used to be a tag team, and my like pie in the sky prediction before Rhea came back was that like Rhea would just be like, well, screw Dom. Like, I'm actually going to partner up with Liv. Like, something weird like that would happen. That's my dream now.
Yeah. Hey, that could still happen eventually.
It could very well still happen. Yeah.
I want to see Rhea go up against the winner of the other match from later in the night.
Ooh,
and we'll tease
that. Interesting. Okay.
We'll get to that one.
All right. Well, let's move on, guys, to our second match of the night, and that was the Intercontinental Championship. Right. Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker. Any foreknowledge of either of these wrestlers, Brie?
I mean, I did have for Sami, obviously. I had WrestleMania. I got to see Sami there, and then Man, I watched another. I don't know if it was a pay-per-view or we just went over for like SmackDown or Raw. I can't remember which one is Sammy on.
Raw, I believe.
Raw.
Yeah,
Okay.
Raw. Yep.
There must have been like a Raw or something that we went over for because I had seen Sammy wrestle one more time before this. And I'm blanking on who it was, but knew him from that. Oh, you know what? I think it was Braun. Didn't they already? They wrestled previous to this.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
They've been having.
Yeah,
they've been having a little program. I think this was their third match, actually.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I think I saw the one just before this. So I had seen them both. Our group likes to joke at the 23 miles an hour thing because we have one scientist in the group who is like, I'm gonna time him the next time he runs around the ring, and we're like, no, you can't. He's too fast.
It's incredible. It is incredible how fast that man can move.
Yeah.
At his size,
he's a beast.
Great.
Yeah.
He is a beast, and he's so young. I didn't realize he's what 23, 25, something like that.
Something
like that. It's crazy.
Like that.
Yeah, it's wild.
Huge dude. And I didn't realize he was like a part of like wrestling legends. Like I had no idea his family. Yeah.
Yep.
Another Nepo baby.
I was about to say he has had to disown those connections due to some transphobic comments that happened last year.
Really?
Again, welcome to the wrestling.
His dad sucks. His dad sucks. His dad berated a transgender wrestler at a convention last year.
No.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
But Braun completely
Yeah. No, both of them up against each other was interesting.
Yeah. It was, and I will. We don't need to get into it. He was more like I am not my father, and I don't. But he. Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Semantics.
I don't want to speak to it because I haven't looked at it since it happened. But I remember at the time thinking, like, I think you could have denied this a little bit more strongly.
A little more. That's fair. That's fair.
But yes, Braun Breaker, Sami Zayn, big old match. This one, it's one of those tough things where it was a good match. It's exciting. I think Braun Breaker has still kind of like hit a ceiling in an interesting way, in a way that I think Solo Sikoa has not yet. And I think I get kind of similar vibes from them. The company is very high up on both of them, clearly, and they're trying to present them both in a similar kind of way. And whereas I don't believe it at all from Solo, I believe it too much from Braun. Whereas they need to have Braun up against bigger dudes or like bigger, stronger people, I think. I you know what I mean? Like he's very good. He out wrestles everybody and he's much stronger. So like I was glad that the match didn't go on too long. Let me put it that way.
It was short.
I was like, there has to be a point where Braun Breaker just kind of, this needs to be a clean, he wins the match. Obviously Sami can do what he can do, but it just didn't, it's not very believable.
That's fair.
I hated it.
Wow.
Really?
Wow. Right out the gate. Okay, let's talk.
I hated it. Maybe it was because I was starting to sort of drift off. It was like 2 a.m. by the time I started watching this match. But my God, like you mentioned, you blink and you missed it. Like
it was short.
As Sami being like a workman and like always struggling and being the quote unquote underdog, which he does not want to be anymore. So I do respect that. I expected so much more of not a storyline with these two, but a story within the match. And for me, it just wasn't there. Nothing clicked for me on this match. And like I said, 1, 2, 3 match done. And I was just like, what the hell was that?
I think
and
I literally was
gonna text Andrew, but I was not allowed to text Andrew the entire night
because he wasn't watching it.
He was not allowed to text me spoilers, and he took that a little too literally. He cut out the word spoiler.
He just wasn't allowed to text you at all.
Yeah, he just was at all, not the slightest.
I did not communicate with the outside world whatsoever. I hated this match, guys. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
Sami.
No, as the producer on this match, I am deeply offended by your lack of for it. So
you never know. The the world.
Yeah.
I was in Gorilla, just like, Ryan better like this, because otherwise,
I made this for him.
Why isn't he texting me?
He was gonna text me.
Brie, what did you think of our Intercontinental match?
Yeah, I mean, it was like I love Sammy, like, and I think they're both really great wrestlers. Like, I think they're cool. This is my second time seeing Braun. I'm like, oh, he's just a large, smooth man. Kind of he's just very smooth. How did he get so smooth? I don't know. But like, it was really short. I did the same thing when it ended. I was like, oh, that's it. Like, okay, I guess we're moving on. And it just, there was not, you're right. There was no like story to it. There was nothing really special. And I had seen them wrestle before. So I was like, okay.
Like, right, I guess.
What else do we bring into this? And there wasn't much.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I will say the crowd was pretty excited with Braun when Braun won, which is good. Of course.
That's good.
But then it's just like, I'm like, okay, so that was one of those, the match ended in, who knows what'll happen tomorrow night. I think, Ryan has talked about, I didn't know this, but he and Ilya Dragunov wrestled a lot in NXT, Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunov. So they'll probably bring some of that stuff back. But they've kind of already, I think, set themselves up for failure a little bit, because that feud, Braun Breaker knocked him out with a spear last week. And it just kind of like, it's like, okay, if somebody knocks somebody out, like that's kind of it. Like there's no real coming back from that, especially if they're not cheating. It's nothing like that. He just knocked him out. So
I think you're right. He feels like he's just like too up here now, and there needs to be something else to like balance this out.
And I still have too bad they. Yeah, I feel like a good person would have been like a Bobby Lashley or something like that for a new feud, but now Bobby Lashley's probably going to be gone. Like somebody where I have to be like, oh, this is a challenge for Braun Breaker, but also I can still believe if and when he wins. Right. Whereas with Sami Zayn, I'm just like, well, yeah, no duh, he beat Sami Zayn. Like, and I love Sami Zayn, and I get on Sami Zayn wanting to not be an underdog, but like at the end of the day, like there's this like kind of normal guy body that happens in wrestling, and there are different versions of it, and I think when guys are a bit heavier, like a Kevin Owens, for instance, they got a little bit more meat on their bones. It's a little bit easier to believe it when they win in a fight. With Sammy, I feel like the deck gets kind of stacked against him just because of how he looks, but that's 90% of the game. Like that's what it is. Unless he wants to go away for a while and like put on 20 pounds of muscle or some ridiculous stuff. And look, I wouldn't want to do that. So I'm not gonna exactly. So like but plenty of wrestlers go through that kind of transformation. Sami Zayn's body kind of actually reminds me of Edge, how Edge used to look when he was in his prime. He didn't have like a six pack or anything like that, but he was taller, so that kind of helped. But then Edge left for a little while because of the back injury, and then came back like looking ripped and all this different stuff. And like, so it is possible, and presentation is like 90% of the game. We'll get into like both Gunther and Damian Priest have like changed their bodies, and that has kind of changed how they are presented in the wrestling world. It is a thing. Yeah. And I think that would be something that Sami Zayn has to do if he wants to. I mean, he has said recently that he thinks he could win the Universal title in the Triple H administration, and I just do not see that happening at this point.
Yeah, wow.
Better bulk up, man. I mean, I hate to say like that image is everything, but when you're talking about the WWE and carrying the entire industry on your back, like people do, the mainstream does expect something.
Yeah, I hate to say I would go beyond mainstream, because it is, at the end of the day, we are talking a business where 90% of the time when you are doing this kind of performance, there are no cameras, there are no announcers. You are performing for the back seats of the house. So they have to be able to see you and understand what they're going to get from you and understand what's going on. One of my favorite parts of The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke, is they go through all this different stuff to show him preparing. And there's like 10 minutes in that movie where he is bleaching his hair and shaving his armpits and going to the tanning booth and like doing all the, it's all part of it. It's a big part of the game. And I do think that Sami Zayn is missing that element currently.
Yeah, he's good up close on camera,
and he's
but
a
like you
fantastic
said,
wrestler.
Yeah, but when you put him in a 3,000 seat theater at a live event that's not on camera, like you do expect something big to happen, and you're just not going to get that from him.
Not like what he's going to go up against Cody Rhodes. He's going to fight Roman Reigns.
Yeah, right.
He's gonna like it just it doesn't make sense.
Don't make sense. I look forward to whatever he does next, and he is an awesome individual outside of the ring. So yeah, I can't wait to see what he does next. What do you guys give this match?
I would go to B.
You B.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, solid B.
I was gonna go with like a C. It was just too short for me. Like,
Yeah,
I wanted to say a little more, but I get it.
Yeah, I'm going with I'm gonna say C minus. I think this was my least favorite match of the night, unfortunately.
Wow.
But okay. This is gonna be a tough one. I don't know how we want to tackle this, guys, but next up we have the
Logan Paul sucks. Logan Paul sucks. Let's just say that straight up. Logan Paul sucks. He has always sucked.
Yes.
And we have kind of given him the he's older and he deserves, like, people can change, yada yada. And then he's just like, oh no, I want to double down on the fact that I suck this week, where he was criticizing a female boxer who was an Olympian. And we don't have to get into that whole aspect of things, but it was very misogynistic and transphobic and all kinds of the awful kind of stuff that you would assume. And I will be honest with you, this match also sucked, which made it much nicer to deal with. I told Ryan ahead of time, I was like, I don't know how we're going to talk about this because it might not sound genuine and I just don't care anymore. I think we have finally seen the roof that Logan Paul has hit. I think all of the matches up until this point have supported the fact that he is not an actual professional wrestler. He has done professional wrestling stuff, but a lot of it has been spots. A lot of it has been, even the last match we saw, the 3-way match he was in, it's a lot of like him ducking to the side. And then every match has been like, oh, a YouTuber shows up and then that helps him win the match. And in this one, it was like, oh, it's Machine Gun Kelly this time. Cause sure, I think he's from
and
Cleveland.
He gives him the brass knuckles every time.
You have picked a worse person. If you're going to be a heel, you might as well heel it up as much as possible. The minute I saw that was Machine Gun Kelly, I'm like, yep, that
makes sense.
Yep, this makes everyone hate him even more.
But
just
like, I think
washed up rapper to come out with you. Great.
I think LA Knight. Look, I don't like Machine Gun Kelly. He is still currently very popular. That does not. That doesn't. Let's not make ourselves sound old. He's not washed up.
Okay. But I don't know what the kids listen to anymore.
I have Riz. Etc. I am not like I don't know what that is. I don't know what Ryan just said. Skibbity. I am Brat. All that stuff. So I don't know what Ryan's talking about.
You still got it. You got Riz.
Thank you, Brie.
Yeah.
I think LA Knight tried really hard to make this a good match, and I think this showed the limits of Logan Paul's capabilities because it had to be an actual match, and he just wasn't very good.
LA Knight doesn't mess around. Like he's one of these wrestlers who he reminds me so much of someone, Andrew, you'll know this name, Hardcore Holly.
Sure.
A wrestler who, you make a mistake and he's going to let you know it. And you want to get in the ring, he's going to let you know what it's like to be in the ring.
He's also been wrestling for 2 decades. Like the man is like 45 years old. Like and he's been wrestling for a long time. And he won this
finally got his championship.
And this is the first, right? That's what I'm being told. That's crazy. Because
first WWE one anyway. Yeah.
Right. That's fair. That was surprising to me because he just seems like he reminds me of videos I've seen of like older wrestlers from like the 90s and 2000s, right? He's got that persona about him. It's so easy to love. Like he's just got everything to me. So I was like, how is this his first? How has he not won anything up to this point?
I will say this, politics, Brie. It's been a long time and LA Knight has been fighting tooth and nail to get noticed. And he kind of organically became a fan favorite to the point where like every week the crowd was chanting his name louder and louder until the WWE finally listened and started giving him main event matches. And they were like, okay, we're gonna give him the chance and see if this is a real thing or just a flash in the pan. And it's clear it's a real thing. Like they've continued to support him. To see him bring down Logan Paul, I think, is only going to elevate him as a champion. And he's going to defend the hell out of that belt, unlike Logan Paul. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
It also kind of to what you were saying, Brie. He has actually been criticized a little bit for how he has modeled himself after. At one point, he started doing the what thing, which is what Stone Cold used to do, and around same time, he started wearing a vest like Stone Cold used to do, and then he started to do promos like The Rock, which was it's this kind of. I think Kevin Nash has had this nice kind of like arc with that whole thing. He's like, look, I criticized it at first, but obviously, if the fans like it, who am I to judge? And I think that's a good take.
If it's not broke, if it ain't
all
broke,
of wrestling,
right? Like if he's like a little Frankenstein model of like the great wrestlers who have come before him, like I don't know, I don't see a problem with that, but I'm also new, so like
I think that's a good attitude to have.
It is stealing, not stealing, but borrowing gimmicks, borrowing moves. Like you look at these wrestlers, and they're all doing similar moves. It's just a little different style for each of them. And yes, he has been compared to The Rock and Stone Cold many a time, but I like to think of him as the best of both worlds. And I think as a champion, he will start to really, I think, grow in his own skin a little bit more. But we'll see. We'll see how long he can go. Like we said, he's not a young champion. He's really going to be going up against a lot of younger, very hungry wrestlers who want that championship.
Really psyched. I want to see him go up against Carmelo Hayes. I want that to be the next little program. I think that could be good. That. Yeah, there's some good people on SmackDown. Let's grade this puppy and move on. I'm gonna give it an incomplete, and that's what I'm gonna leave
do that.
Yeah, apparently you can do that.
Yeah. There was only one wrestler in the match, so half the assignment was done.
Fair enough.
Swish.
And see, that's not something to the untrained eye that I noticed, but when I was sitting with people, they were like, oh, like LA Knight saved him on this because he didn't like straighten his legs, or like LA Knight saved him on this, you know, like I didn't even realize.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, if I had to grade like at least LA Knight, like I'm gonna give that match like a B+. Like I thought he brought it. He was interesting. It was fun. I like that. You know, I hate Logan Paul, but like whatever. Yeah, it's really hard. It's difficult because in my WrestleMania video, I was like, I don't like Logan, but like he's a great villain, so like I respect him in wrestling. And now I'm like, oh man, but also
that's well, and I think that's kind of look. Oh, so CM Punk has talked about this a lot, whereas I think that there is a lot of good that has come from breaking out of like the kayfabe aspect of things, where wrestlers can talk about themselves. They can be human beings outside of the ring without having to pretend to be a zombie or whatever stuff. Sure. You know, it just makes things easier. In that same vein, when you have somebody who is this much of a public persona, those wires can start to get crossed in a way that you can't really come back from. Like you can't come back from having him be that awful and be like, oh, like, I guess this is still fun to watch. Like even the WWE has known that in the past where I didn't expect them to course correct the way they did. And like, look, he put out a little BS apology hours after he did oopsies. Exactly. So I do wonder, I don't think that they were ever going to like pull this match or any of that stuff. I do wonder what if the finish was any different before this. I
do too.
Yep.
I really did. I honestly thought that they decided, nope, no, he's done.
Like, that was said at our
we'll see what happens, because apparently the rumor is WWE did ask him to delete the tweet and everything, and he apparently threw a hissy fit. Again, this is all rumor and innuendo, but he's like, no, like I could say whatever I want. Like I'm sponsoring the WWE with Prime, blah 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 blah. Then he put out the BS. We're talking too much about this. I apologize, guys.
Yeah, it's okay. What's your match ranking? And then we can move on. Yeah.
I think what Brie said was excellent. I think we should grade oh God, I think we should grade LA Knight, and I'm going to give him an A because he did save that idiot's life a couple times during this match, and he gave it his all. So
yeah,
awesome. New United States champion. Can't wait. All right. Our next women's match of the night, the Women's WWE Championship, Bayley versus Nia Jax. We finally have our Queen of the Ring getting her chance at the biggest title in the WWE. And yeah, how do we think she did? Andrew, do you want to sort of run us through this match a little bit, maybe?
Oh, sure. I you know what? I thought this was a really solid match. I have come a long way on Nia Jax. I've always liked Bayley. That being said, this is another one of those instances where I think body types come into play in a way. And there was one moment in particular towards the end, and part of this could have just been how like the camera work and the angle that they decide to get. But there was a moment where Bayley goes to give Nia a belly to belly suplex, and she like grabs her and turns, and then it's just clearly Nia Jax throwing herself onto the ground and Bayley kind of like following her. And it was like this momentum turn in the match. And I was like, I don't, there was a lot of that stuff for this. PLE. And I don't want to blame them. Like, what else are they supposed to do? I do think that they did the best with this match that they could have. And I thought we got to see some really, really cool spots, including Nia getting power bombed off the turnbuckle.
Oh my God.
That was
fantastic.
Crazy.
That was really cool.
Spectacular.
And I liked the finish and I liked the match. But there were just a couple of things where I was like, I don't know what the solution is. And I think we've talked about this with Nia Jax as well. And it's with any like bigger person in WWE. It's the same with like Braun Strowman. It's the same with like it was with Yokozuna or like any of these people, like where you're just like, this person is so big, so imposing. How could anyone possibly beat them? And I think Nia Jax, I to be fair, I think they've gone the right direction with that in spoiler alert, giving her the belt and also having her I think they played up that psychology really well in this match. Even if there were a couple botches, I think in a similar way to like what they did with Liv and Rhea, they did with Nia and Bayley. That made it, I could feel Bayley's frustration and her struggling and stuff.
Yeah. Again, like Bayley has been a huge inspiration, I think, to the women's locker room for a really long time. And it was great to see her become champion at WrestleMania. I think it was so well deserved. But I think, again, it was one of these situations where they gave her the title and they didn't know what to do after that with her, which is unfortunate. And it happens all the time. Like, it has nothing to do with Bayley. Like, she could have went up against anybody and put on a good show. And I think she did last night. And I think it was a great way to finally put Nia over and give her a chance to see what she can do as champion. And yeah, there were some impressive moments, like the power bomb you said. And I feel like Nia Jax is really coming into her own. She's becoming a much better actor, performer. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they put her up against next. Speaking of which, Tiffany Stratton came in and we thought she was going to cash in, and she did not get that opportunity.
Wait, hold that thought. Brie, what did you think of the match?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
That's okay.
Man, so I didn't hate the match. I think I just I don't have enough of a backstory from Nia and Bayley to really like appreciate the story behind this match. So otherwise, for me, it wasn't super memorable. Again, my amateur like view on things may be different if you have context and stuff. I like Nia. When I was betting, I betted on Nia. So I'm super glad that like she's kind of getting her moment. I think she's super cool. And I do like seeing different body types in WWE. And she really is the only, there are a couple other people I think I've seen that are like bigger and like you said, more imposing. So it was interesting to watch, but yeah, it did feel, to me, it felt a little slower than maybe some of the other women's matches I had watched. And so I was like, it's not like as memorable for me, but happy with the outcome. I just don't have like the story to really like push it over the edge into like a really great match. That's just for me though.
Yeah, that's fair. Here's the story. Nia Jax was asked to take the COVID vaccine in 2022, and she refused, and then was let go for quite some time, and then came back.
Is that how she came back? Like when she came back?
I did not know that.
That's interesting.
Yeah. She has talked pretty openly about it too.
I did not know
really
that.
sucks. Especially they were very. I don't know if you knew this. Roman Reigns has leukemia.
I did know that. Yep.
So, COVID, pretty scary time for that guy.
Right.
So they took it very seriously on his behalf, but she made a personal choice. I just think,
which is hilarious because they're somewhat related.
Right. That's what I thought
really?
too.
Who is she?
Yeah, aren't they kind of through?
I thought
like
I don't
the
know
bloodlines.
anymore.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
too.
Nia is.
Like
Related to The Rock
or something?
Yeah, and The Rock is
I don't think I knew that.
somewhat related to Roman. I don't know
She's
exactly.
in the Noah. Yeah, there you go. She's The Rock's second cousin once removed. So they got
there you go.
Mary and Pippin lineage going on. That's how
that is okay. Well, that's interesting real life lore for Nia and where she went, where she came from.
Yep.
Very exciting stuff. So yeah, I think we've all kind of summed it. I think both of you have brought up that they just don't know what to do in the match. I think Brie, if for one of the things that pay-per-views are PLEs have been most successful with is these like video packages and getting you psyched up for like getting people psyched up for certain matches.
Yeah.
I do not think that you not having any extra context or not being excited is a fault of yours whatsoever. I think it is a fault of theirs. One of the many reasons that I love having you on this show is having somebody who has a more fresh perspective, because I think that PLEs especially, you should be able to just hop in and know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's so much content. Like and we don't have cable. I said this in my last video, but like it's so hard to keep up on stuff when you're just like, you're living a busy life. And I respect the hell out of wrestling fans for doing it and like having the context all the time. But sometimes I only get to watch the big events. So yeah, it would be nice to be able to just hop in and have like, you know, the promos and stuff to at least inform me and then just like enjoy it all the same. Yeah.
Yep.
And and a weird thing that they're doing now, at least on I use someone else's Peacock, so I can't really complain that much.
Mine. No, I'm just kidding.
The tier that they have, and what's funny is this is a friend of a friend's Peacock, and that friend works at Peacock, I believe, and even the tier of Peacock that they have is not the like completely commercial free one.
Oh,
for whatever reason, when you're watching PLEs on Peacock, they go like, oh, okay, we're going to tell you the tale of the tape unless you don't have a higher tier of Peacock. Otherwise, here's a couple Downey commercials. Like that's so yeah, it's a really strange. And I were you watching one where you had commercials, or were you actually getting the video packages?
We did have some commercials. I thought they were normal, but now I'm realizing there was maybe some like interstitial content in there that we were missing. I had no concept of that.
The video packages are some of the best work that WWE does. And now
interesting.
But you gotta pay for it. You gotta pay for those, baby.
Sure.
Yep. Well, Nia won. Yep. I give it a B. What do you guys give this match?
I would give it a B. Yeah.
I would also give it a B. Give it a B. Yep. Again, I think that first match of the night set the bar real high.
It really did. Very good point. Oh, here we go, guys. Our story heavy, not penultimate. We're almost there. Story heavy match of the night, and that was Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk with special guest referee Seth freaking Rollins. This thing has been heating up. It's been simmering for a while now. Finally, CM Punk's first match back after his injury, after being injured at the Royal Rumble, I think it was.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And this is also the first match of the night that I watched in English.
Nice.
So
a really different vibe we had going.
Welcome back, Andrew.
Yep.
Welcome back.
Right there.
Bienvenidos. I don't know. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I took French. I have no idea.
Okay. I got nothing.
Yeah. Brie, what did you think of this match? What did you think?
I loved it. Just from pure entertainment, Seth Rollins is just like chef's kiss, so good. It's
pretty great.
Loved him as the ref. Loved them bringing back the ref cam and then using it twice to just like watch Seth kind of pivot around a few times. Thought that was really high value add. Yeah, this was so fun to watch. Speaking of believability and body types, I mean, Drew is huge, right? And CM Punk, he's a small dude. Like, it's not like he's not
tiny.
strong, but like to see these two up against each other, I was like, oh, what are we gonna do here? Because he's pretty small. But I loved it. I thought it was really entertaining, and I think, as much as I wanted CM Punk to win, because I really like CM Punk these days, I think this is probably setting up for some cool matches in the future. It's how I feel about Rhea too. Is like, sure, my people didn't win, but like also this is going to be so much better the next, couple of matches we have with these people,
Sure. Yeah, I very much liked the match. I will say I noticed the believability of body type. Also, CM Punk, I just looked it up. There is about a 6 or 7 year age difference between the two of them.
Ooh.
And
really?
a lot. Yes, yeah. Punk is 45 and McIntyre is 39 currently.
Wow.
Yes, and McIntyre looks pretty great for 39.
He sure does.
And doesn't have a single gray hair. Meanwhile, I'm 35 and they're popping out all over the place. But the beard is also relatively new too, so I'm just gonna. It's a whole anyway.
It's working for you.
Thank you. I wasn't fishing, but I'll take it. But so, I really liked Seth Rollins, and I really liked CM Punk, and I really liked Drew McIntyre, and I think they all did a great job. I had a problem with the finish of this match, just a little.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
because
I could see that.
I do you have any context for the back and forth between CM Punk and Seth Rollins?
A little. My friends said that they actually hate each other in real life.
They did.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that has been squashed now. I really like Seth Rollins. I could tell when he was doing the later on that no one wants you here. Nobody wants you. And I was like, I've heard you say this more believably before.
Yeah. I can see that.
I have heard you call this man a cancer in a way where I was like, I think you really think he's scum of the earth.
Yeah.
So I think they have since squashed things, which is good. CM Punk is big into that. He's talked specifically. He's like, I like to get into rooms with people and talk it out. And
he's a cool dude.
He really is. Yes, he's grown on me. Yeah.
Yep. I would say all three of the people in this match I like very much. And I think just part of me, even though I understand wanting to get Seth Rollins involved, I think that match could have had its own setup outside of this match. And I would have rather seen more of a closed loop between McIntyre and Punk. Now, if we get a 3-way match between the three of them out of this, perfect. I think the match went as it should go. But if it just goes from Punk McIntyre to Punk Rollins, I'll be less excited. So this is almost like a wait and see for me. Yeah. Because I thought it was really good. I think it was probably one of the most exciting matches of the night. Now that I think about it, I probably might put it on par with the match at the beginning, even though I do think that match's finish was more successful. I think I just have to wait and see what comes next.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, Andrew, I think you're right. If we are to get a triple threat match at a PLE in the future, awesome.
At Bad Blood in a Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell. I know
That's
you're
what
really.
I want. That's what I want.
That would be so sick.
He's really campaigning for that. I've seen the website. He's got the website set up and everything.
The bumper stickers are on the way.
They're on the way.
Yeah.
Did you
Please
use
buy them? I have 5,000. Yes, and it was very expensive.
I figured.
No,
okay.
I use Sticker Mule because the owner of the company
sent
me an email telling me that I needed to vote for Donald Trump because he almost got shot, and I was like, I need to do this now. I need more Sticker Mule stuff. That's how you get me, by having this CEO send a very odd and personal email about something that has nothing to do with his company.
Several.
That's how you get me involved.
Several odd and personal emails.
Talking about doubling down. My God. Okay. Well, anyways, if this were to become a Punk and Seth Rollins feud, yes, I do agree. I think that there was no reason otherwise to have Seth there. He looked awesome in the sparkly referee shirt. Like that thing was just glam.
He served.
And not the first time, and I need to look up where else this happened, not the first time that a referee shirt in the WWE was sleeveless and the black parts were see-through. That is not the first time. That is not the first time. Yes.
Okay.
I only know that.
Please.
Yeah, can you find that out?
In either WrestleMania 2000 or No Mercy, these two N64 games, that was an option, a costume option, was a see-through, not sparkly, but with the see-through black stripes. So I'm trying. I was literally sitting on the couch last night because Pat McAfee or somebody was like, "Oh, first time we've ever seen a shirt like that." And I was like, "No, it wasn't." Hold on. It's like was just Googling see-through referee shirts.
I thought you were
seriously.
No,
I was after. Well, that was afterwards. But
yeah, right. You and Pat go way back.
I went way back. But I call him Patrick. But we were texting. I was Googling. I actually elongate his name. That's how long we've
wild.
No shorthand. No shorthand between the two of us. I was Googling see-through referee shirts, which I do not recommend anybody do. And I was just like, I know this has happened. And sure enough, I could not find anything, and my Google search is tainted forever. But I know it has happened.
It's one of those. What do they call those things? Like where it's like Bernstein Bears and Bernstein.
It is not a Mandela effect. Don't you do that. Don't you do that. This is real.
The referee see-through shirt is a Mandela effect.
It is. It's happening.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list. Just pile it on. McIntyre won. Awesome. Won with a Claiborne. Really showed that Punk was taking this all way too personal. He got too in his head.
I liked that. I liked
it was good.
The bracelet.
Yeah, the wristband, the bracelet. Like I thought that was great. Yep.
It was great. McIntyre snatched the bracelet after the match, so he got it back again. Awesome match. I gave this an A+. I loved this match.
Yeah.
How about you guys? Brie, let's go with you.
I give it. Was this my favorite match? I'm gonna give it just a straight A, just a flat A, because I feel like I still need to think about whether we'll get to it. This is an A.
Sure.
Awesome.
I would also go A. I would also go with a solid A. Yep. I think it
the same page.
Yeah. Which is fun. Like, look, it was. Yeah, we'll get into it when we get into our overall grade.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the World Heavyweight title match.
Let's do it. We got two more, guys. We're almost there. All right, we've got. Sorry, I lost my place here in my
Damian Priest
outlined as usual.
Gunther.
Gunther versus Damian Priest, the Archer of Infamy. Yeah. Boom. All right, where do we begin? Go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
I am always a fan of organic blood. No, let me rephrase that. I am always a fan of when something. Yeah. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say something else.
None of that store-bought stuff.
None of that store-bought stuff. I don't care what anybody says. There's too much of a nickely taste to True Blood, and I can't drink it anymore. When something happens, when somebody is busted open or whatever, and it happens naturally, I'm always a big fan. And yet, I think, and I wasn't not a fan of this happening, but Gunther bleeding from his chest because he had been slapped so much is one of the craziest things that I think I've ever seen happen in real time.
This was so slappy.
slappy match. This is a
So
slappy
slappy.
match.
I kept saying it the whole time. I was like, "Oh, it's so slappy right now. We've just hit each other so many times."
One of Andrew's famous mantras on the show is, what is it? Big men slapping.
Oh no! Oh, so, to be fair, that is
slapping
Big E. That is a Big E phrase. Big E on it was I believe Xavier Woods' podcast is he goes into this, and Brie will send it to you. I'll send it to you on the gram. But it was a Big E saying he's like, I don't want 5-star matches, your 5-star classics. I want big meaty men slapping meat, like just big meaty men. Yeah, like, and I'm not even doing it justice. Ryan, I will send you the clip at the end. Maybe toss it in at the end of the episode.
I want that too.
Well, he must have loved this match.
Yeah.
So slappy. So slappy. These dudes are humongous. And it was, I think they really put each other to the task. Like, I thought this was a really solid wrestling match that was one of those things where I think this actually kind of benefited from not having too much of a storyline that had to do with the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
It was just big meaty men slapping meat. Like, they were just beating each other up in a way that felt visceral and personal and real. And then, go ahead, Ryan.
Do you think, sorry, just while I'm thinking about it, I always wonder this, and I know we've been watching wrestling for a long time, Andrew, but, and I'd like both their thoughts on this. Do you think they get mad at each other when they're really hurting each other like this? Because you're not telling me those slaps don't hurt. Like, those chops have to hurt. Do you think there's ever a moment where they're like, oh, you son of, like, I don't know, because a lot of these matches, it's just spot after spot. They're being very careful. Everything is about the maneuvers. Injuries happen, but when you're just like hitting each other, like, you're not pulling those chops, as it were. So you think they ever get pissed at each other?
I've heard that, like, when something actually happens that is like, you were supposed to really hold back and you didn't, the other person will like sometimes let you know if that was like too real, like you'll get it back. I can imagine to stay in character. Even I would like play into that anger a little bit and be like, okay, like I'm feeling like this is real. Like, let's keep hitting each other like this and really play it up. So I could see that being a thing.
Yeah.
I know, just a personal question. I was wondering.
I think that's a fun thing. I'm sure there's stuff like that happens. I also think with these two dudes, it was probably more of a, you got me real good. Okay, I'm gonna get him really good next time. Like, because we have talked about like these guys have been wrestling each other for like 15 years. I think at this point.
I've seen photos of them.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Different.
And it's so
they've come a long way.
So different.
It's really impressive, actually.
Just in the last couple of years, it really is. And I think they did a really good job. There's some really good wrestling in here, just some really like technically sound stuff. And then now real quick so earlier on in the day, Finn Balor went on Twitter, tweeted out Judgment Day, and he just shared like 4 very nice pictures of the group
without
and
Rhea.
Everybody. So it kind of that's another thing where it's kind of the tough, like, oh, this is clearly an emotional guy that knew that he was about to break up with his group tonight, or like the group was going to get, because when they do this, like, Brie, I saw you share like the video of Damian helping Rhea get out of the van.
Oh my God, that was adorable.
So awesome. So great. Because when these people are working together like this, they travel together a lot. They do it like you're with these people a lot. And so I think he was just kind of like, like accepting the fact that this thing that has become this fun group is now pretty much no more after tonight. So we saw Finn Balor come out and interfere again. Must have come out of the crowd or something, because all of a sudden he just showed up.
It's just there.
Which was really cool. And I liked what they wanted to do. But what happened is that Damian Priest slammed Gunther down. Gunther kind of rolled over to his side, and then Damian Priest had to roll him towards the ropes so he could pin him and have his leg get put up for
on the rope.
Rope break. And that camera angle was so bad. Again, maybe there was no camera angle that could have. They had to show it again, and it's so clear. Like we are talking about two wrestlers who the whole point of the match is their in-ring psychology is so good, and they know this, and that. I'm like, Finn Balor didn't even need to put Gunther's leg on those ropes. He was right next to him. He could have just gone. That happens all the time. It's so that almost entirely ruined the match for me.
Interesting.
Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna be
that
honest.
Didn't even more so for me.
Me either.
Yeah. It was just that moment, just that botch of the screwed up pin, because I was like, I just got sucked right out of it. And I don't even think I'm gonna let that affect the match grade, because I had a similar thing after Backlash where I was Damian Priest and the whole Drew McIntyre coming out, like that was clearly something happened that screwed all that up. And I think maybe if Gunther had just been a little bit more aware and just rolled over a little bit, it could have happened. Who knows? Maybe he thought he was next to the ropes. Maybe he thought he was closer. But that was rough and took me out of those last couple of minutes.
So, okay. If we're going to talk about illusion breaking, I love that idea of the photos that Finn posted and like Andrew, you being like, oh my God, like this is it. He's turning on him. This group is done. I have that problem now with them coming out with a documentary on a wrestler and then them immediately losing their title after those documentaries premiere.
Has that been a thing?
Yeah, dude. Like,
oh, interesting.
So right before Roman Reigns lost to Cody at WrestleMania, they came out with the Roman Reigns documentary. When I heard that Damian Priest was doing the premiere of a documentary about him on the WWE, I was.
Or is it one of those A&E? What is it, like the A&E docs, like
WWE.
the little half-hour? What?
Nope. It premiered at SummerSlam for an invited audience. It's going to be on Peacock. And I immediately knew, I'm like, this is it. Damian's run is over. Like, why else would they be doing a documentary right now? It's like a good way of saying goodbye to a champion. And they've kind of like, hit a plateau and something comes. What can we give this person to show our respect in what they've done? And to now give it over to someone else, Gunther being that person who I think deserves it. So the minute I heard that there was a Damian Priest documentary, I'm like, all right, I already know what's going to happen.
Fair enough. Sure.
And lo and behold, that's what happened. My question to you guys, what now? Is Finn working with Liv? Is this where they're going? Like, are they
that
like
makes sense, right? Like that there has to be some like more that's like brewing, because obviously Liv helped Finn and JD. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. They got
to forget about JD.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad, but I just don't think of it very often. Liv helped them, so like, does it make sense that now I do think maybe they're moving towards like a new like Judgment Day over here, and then you've got My Dream. Okay, here it is. That Judgment Day, who cares about them? They suck now. All right. The new Judgment Day are my two babes, right? We've got Damian and Rhea. So thrilled. It doesn't look like they're splitting them up, and that is the most important thing to me. I want Jey Uso in there somewhere. I want something happening with Jey. I love Jey. And that's, it's not going to happen, but that's my dream.
I like that.
Here's where we're at with the Judgment Day now, guys. Yeah. Carlito is the leader, and then there's JD.
Sold. No, say less. Carlito is the leader.
Yeah, wait, I love that. I'm in.
That would be great. Now, I think
fun.
I think we might see like some Rhea and Damian like teaming up or talking kind of a thing, but I hope they don't do like a full on. We're but I think we're going to be leading towards a bloodline versus bloodline type thing. Yeah. I feel even more secure in my Survivor Series prediction than I did before SummerSlam. I'll tell you that much. And I think a Judgment Day v Judgment Day thing, I hope doesn't happen too much, but I do think we will see this new Judgment Day. Yeah. And I think that a Damian versus Finn feud is going to be fantastic. My question to you twos is, who do you think Gunther goes up against?
Oh, wow.
Because I have zero idea.
Yeah.
Zero. Except for maybe like a Randy Orton. But
interesting.
Yeah, but I will talk about what Randy Orton should have been doing this whole time in a couple minutes.
I have no idea.
No clue.
For the life of me, because obviously now he's going in to Berlin, which isn't going to be another big international PLE bastion. Berlin, I think
is he going to lose that belt? Is he going to lose that belt?
No. I think.
I mean, but everybody's joking. DIY from Cleveland lost the belts. Logan Paul from Cleveland lost the belt. Drew McIntyre from Scotland, lost the belt. Like this,
that's a good point.
I really love disappointing crowds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really great.
I don't know. Braun Breaker. Is that a thing possible? Gunther versus Braun Breaker? Is that a thing that could happen?
I would watch that match. I would watch that match.
Would they though? Because
two big smooth dudes.
Two smooth dudes slapping.
Yeah. That's what I want to see. They gotta be smooth though.
Big smooth in there makes it so funny. They have definitely done those champion versus champion things before, so I wouldn't be too surprised. That would be like a nice.
Put him up against the new group there, the Wyatt Six. Put him up against.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, sure. There you go.
All of them.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. I love wrestling.
Yeah, there we go.
Anything could truly happen. Yeah.
All right. What's your grade?
Let's grade this baby.
I think this is my A+ match. I'm gonna be real. I know it's weird, but like I thought Damian looked so good, and like I know he lost, but it was so fun to watch. It was slappy.
Sure.
It was great. I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's an A for me. I would give it an A. I know. You know what? I'll say A- because I do think it was a little less exciting for me than the Punk McIntyre and Rhea Liv match, but I did think it was very good, and I was glad they got this kind of like big showcase.
Yeah. Damian is just like winning my heart every single week. There's just something about him. I don't know. I can't wait to see that documentary, to be honest.
He's gonna have a great babyface run too. Like,
yes.
I think like that's
and his
go real well.
Again, his friendship with Rhea is just like
really cool,
warming my heart so much.
And his friendship with Finn, I think they're gonna have some great matches against.
I tend to forget about
that. Maybe we'll even get the Demon. I think Finn was doing his little like
Brie, your Demon is gonna make it appearance.
I would love that.
Possibly. Yeah. He did say, I will only bring the Demon back if it's for a good reason. I don't see how fighting one of your best friends isn't a good reason.
Right.
The best matches are often against, actual best friends. So we shall see.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with an A as well. I thought it was a fantastic match by both. All right. Holy crap, we made it, guys. We're to the main, arguably the main event. Many believe that the
that's certainly what they wanted us to think.
Yeah.
I want to hear Andrew's take immediately.
The undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Andrew, go.
The worst thing that has happened to Solo Sikoa is the inclusion of Jacob Fatu.
Oh, do you think he upstages them?
8,000%.
Yeah, I kind of feel that too.
And it's one of those. So one thing I will say is I think immediately all summer after Cody Rhodes won the belts at WrestleMania, that and this is, look, I don't work for the WWE. I don't have a big fancy booking job or anything like that. And a lot of thought goes into things. There are all kinds of different elements. So because fantasy booking is always like, I'm like, it's not easy. It is not an easy thing to do. That being said, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes being the main event of WrestleMania 40 was the culmination of one of the biggest storylines that the WWE has ever done. And they have just tried to milk that too much since it ended. They should have taken a break from it. They should have taken a break. And it should have been Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton. They have a history. I think so back in like 2008, 2009, I want to say Cody, Randy Orton, who is the son of Cowboy Bob Orton, started a group with Cody Rhodes, son of Dusty Rhodes, and Ted DiBiase Jr., son of Ted DiBiase, called Legacy. And they were basically the Nepo baby trio. One of them is currently in prison. I'll let you guess which one, for like welfare tax fraud. Yeah, real bad stuff. Like, basically, I believe that he is at least tangentially connected to what happened with Brett Favre, except this guy actually went to prison for it.
Cool. So it's clearly Cody Rhodes,
right?
It's very clearly Cody Rhodes.
They let him out every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
ruined the joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
guys.
no, that's he's actually the real version of what they used to do with Goldberg. Like, it is their actual police officers off screen walking him from his dressing room to the ring. But no, they should have done Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton, like, because there's history, there's built-in history there. I think part of the reason they may not have done that is that Randy Orton is having the time of his life being a babyface right now.
I love him so much.
He's great. And Brie, we've never really gotten to see him let loose like this, because even when he's been a face in the past, he's got this edge to him. He's the Viper. He can turn on anybody at any moment, and he's so bad that people like him regardless. So I think that should have been happening. From the minute this match started, I was like, these two are unevenly matched. Solo Sikoa is not as good a wrestler as Cody Rhodes. And I think that what makes the Bloodline Rules Cody Rhodes against Roman Reigns match work at WrestleMania is that the match, up until the point where people start interfering, is a good match. At one point, Pat McAfee and Michael Cole are literally trying to make excuses for the fact that the crowd was not reacting to this match whatsoever. They literally say, they're like, oh, this is what Solo wanted. He wanted to take the crowd out of the match. And I was like, what are you talking about?
And
what are you talking
about? You want to do that?
Yeah, like it made zero sense, and it was just them trying to make excuse for somebody who just is not over. Like, he's not over. His in-ring persona is not what it needs to be. He doesn't feel threatening. He's not exciting, and they're trying to put him into like a square peg in a round hole. Like, it just doesn't work. And I think this was a very good example of this. When Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa came in, and again, another thing that I do not understand why they are not the tag champions together. Something is clearly going on with Tonga Loa. He has an eye patch. I don't know why.
Yeah, he got some sort of eye injury is what they said.
Yeah,
that's what my friend said.
Yeah.
So he's like good enough. He's okay enough that he can come in and hurt somebody, but he can't wrestle yet. And I guess they just needed to put the belts on those guys for some reason. So now the actual tag team of the group aren't the tag team champions, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
And it was just, I thought the match started to get better after those two interfered. But then again, Jacob Fatu comes out and you're like, oh my God, this is the guy.
Yeah.
This is and even
the minute he came in, like, my adrenaline just went
he's wild.
Oh, he's
so contagious. Yeah.
No, but that being said, it's undeniable that the last 3 minutes of the match were the most exciting part of the whole night. Like, and you could tell from the crowd and like how they were reacting. But I think this should have probably been the first match and just get that out of the way. But I think it was hinging too much on the last little bit, because it just was not. It was not a good match. It was not, even with the interferences. Interference at the end of the match was a good match. That was really exciting and cool little stuff. Everything before that, I was like, this is nothing.
And how do you here's what I can't figure out. Because I will say, from a story perspective, I don't think I mind the fact that Solo is like an inferior tribal chief, right? He's not quite he's not what Roman was, for sure. So like, to see him go up against Cody, it's like, Cody already beat Roman. How would he not beat Solo? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But I don't mind it so much, because it's all of this like bloodline rules, like people coming in and like you can just do whatever. So it's like, okay, he's never going to win the way that maybe Roman would have, of just like pure wrestling strength, whatever. But now I'm looking at it, I'm like, if this is about to be old bloodline versus new bloodline, and you're having Roman go up against Solo, if that's what we're prepping for, I can't see that working, right? Like, they're both so different.
I agree 100%. Would you like to know my big prediction that they're going to do? So Survivor Series will be coming up in November. And I believe they're actually going to be doing War Games with it again this year, which is when they have two rings side. It's when they have two rings side by
You
side.
want a ring on top of your ring? You got it.
I do.
That are surrounded in a large cage.
Yeah. Ring.
And what happens is it's 2 teams of 4 or 2 teams of 3, and they will have a representative from each team start in the double ring, and then over time, other people are allowed out of a little cage and allowed to come into the bigger cage
so
to fight
ridiculous.
each other. So yeah, it's kind of like
I love wrestling,
like a team elimination chamber thing. And the match does not start until all 8 participants are in the giant cage ring.
Yeah.
And
that's
everything before that is just like warm up basically.
And I said this on the SummerSlam prediction episode. I'm going to say it again because I'm now even more convinced of it. I believe what we will see come SummerSlam or come Survivor Series is Tonga Loa, Tama Tonga, Solo Sikoa, and Jacob Fatu against Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and Cody Rhodes.
Oh, chills. I would love that.
Hold on. I'm going to throw a positive wrench in there. Is that okay?
Do it.
What about...
We all have our hands up right now.
What about our man who just lost his championship and now is looking to go somewhere to find a family again? Sami Zayn returns.
The only reason I would say no is because they exhausted that a little bit. I do not think Sami goes back. I have thought about this. I do not think he goes back into the bloodline.
I have thought about this. I did the murder board. I did a focus group.
There's just like the red string tied to a bunch of
yeah. I got my cigarettes. And listen, the only reason, if you look back at the last time that they actually had Sami join the bloodline, that was actually already in a War Games match at a Survivor Series, so we can't really do that again. But if you look up over here, back in 1987, Sami was born, right? So we got okay. So I don't know if
I promise we have girlfriends, Brie, and we have lives. I promise.
You're engaged. Let's not take us down a peg. I have a girlfriend.
You have a whole fiance.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Wait,
you've got kids. Yeah. What am I saying?
Yeah.
So I think that is what we will build to eventually is a War Games with Cody Rhodes joining the old bloodline. And we've got plenty of time between now and then to get Jay and Jimmy back into the picture. Where we go from there, I have no idea. I think we could very possibly see another Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes next year. But I've also heard a lot of rumors that The Rock.
I was going to say, what about The Rock
himself? He wants to be in the main event.
He
next
will
year,
be back.
So that will probably
fascinating.
Be yeah, because he just can't.
Aren't we supposed to get Roman versus Rock? Isn't that what everyone is?
Yes, and I think it could, and I think that could. Yeah, I think that could happen too. I just this is one of those things where like Cody Rhodes has nothing if he's not involved in any of that stuff currently.
Unfortunately, that's true. Yeah.
I don't think when you take Cody Rhodes away from the bloodline, his WWE title kind of drops off a little bit.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because I think he's doing a great job.
He's great.
But like you're right, he really has no one to face. It's I don't know. Let's talk a little as we start to Randy Orton. I keep forgetting.
That's on them. That's not on you. He should be positioned right there.
That's true. I'm not taking the blame on this one. Roman's return. What did we think of Roman's return and him instantly becoming a babyface? I mean, this is insane.
It was the only time of the night when the ramp was not too long. Because it was way too long. Again, Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga showed up out of nowhere, which was great, and they just kind of were in there. The fact that I'm sorry, Kevin Owens and Randy Orton are both.
Oh my god,
they come out separately.
Ridiculous. They came out separately to their own theme music.
They did.
They're both in gorilla position. They're not just going to come out at the same time,
right?
Why would they wait? Why would Randy Orton wait 60 seconds?
Here's my problem.
Doesn't make any sense.
With these abrupt special appearances to come save the day. Why is it that they have the music already queued, ready to go?
That is a good point.
that stuff I have less of it because the music is
goes
part
on
of
all
the
the
excitement.
time.
That's
I
part of the
know.
excitement.
I know.
People were excited for Roman Reigns before he even stepped out of the
yeah,
entrance,
everyone
you know what I
was
mean?
like,
Everyone
"This is
did.
happening tonight."
Yeah. And they popped for Owens' music. They popped for Orton's music. But then to have them come out and then be like, "Here I come."
For like
Taking a
10
little
minutes.
time.
I'll be there in a minute. Yep.
Yeah.
I think Randy Orton even stopped to like play with the crowd a little bit.
Oh yeah, he gave a couple high fives because he's
He did.
Insane. There was a WrestleMania from a few years ago where the ramp was so long that they would show people start to walk down, cut away from them so they could then get on a golf cart and drive most of the way down and then get off that cart, and then they would put the camera back.
Yep. There's footage. You could find the footage of people that were in the crowd that
pretty awesome.
Why?
Yeah, record. It's because it was so damn long. And everyone's like, why would you do that?
That's hilarious.
I do believe more often than not when they have the the stage is far back and it's smaller and the ramp is longer, that is usually to maximize occupancy
capacity. Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So, but
and this was like a record-breaking attendance this time. So
every event is when you raise
it?
your prices that high. Every event is going to be.
Yeah. But then, back in the day, what's funny to me is they can't do this now, or they could. Who knows? But back in the some of the older events when the ramps are that long, they would have them come out in little floats. It feel like little
like a parade.
Yeah, kind of.
I love that.
Yeah. Watch Andre the Giant come out on a float, literally,
back
parades wave. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Wow. All right, guys. Well, we made it to the end. Cody retains. Roman gave him the little nod of you're welcome.
I
Cody's not sure what
to
really make of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to Raw. This is going to be probably one of the most insane Raws ever. I mean,
but we
happened.
We probably won't see any of the Bloodline stuff until SmackDown, though.
Right.
Good point. Very good point. Very good point.
Which is smart on
so
their
we'll
part.
have to wait till Friday. Yeah, but my God, I haven't seen this many title changes at a PLE in a while.
Quite a bit. Yeah.
Very
it was
rare.
Really exciting.
Very rare.
Setting up for a lot of good stuff. My friends were saying that Back for Blood is going to be that's going to be the thing, and I was like, sure, I don't know, maybe.
Totally. Sure. I didn't even know that was a thing, and now I'm like, oh, really? They're squeezing in another PLE, and now
they do one once a month. I think because that's the thing. I think is the one in Germany is in September. Yeah, because Bad Blood is October 5th. I think.
I think you're right.
Bad Blood, that's it, not Back for Blood.
I do plan on going to the Germany. I do plan on going to the Germany event. So
there you go.
Cool.
Yeah, sweet.
Starting to raise the funds now.
Oh my gosh, I am going to my first WWE event in November.
What?
I'm going to SmackDown. I'm so excited.
Yay!
It could have been Raw, right? I was really looking forward to Raw coming closer to me, but no, it's SmackDown. But either way, I'm so excited. Just had to sneak that in there. I'm
so excited to hear about that. We will see you. I mean, I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say we're going to try to drag you back on here before that. But we are going to have to ask you all about that.
Yeah.
We'll have you come on before, after. We'll have you
during.
We might have you go backstage and maybe interview Cody.
Yeah. See what happens.
We totally have that.
I'll get on the media release or the media badges. Yeah, for sure.
We're pretty big time. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, what do we grade this?
Do you know how to unlock a door with a credit card?
Yes.
That'll be okay. Cool. Never mind.
Yeah,
perfect.
absolutely.
All right, we're good then. We're good. Sweet.
Can someone bail you out of prison?
That's a no. We're gonna have to escape prison, so that's a whole different conversation.
All right, we'll have
what the credit card's for.
Yeah, that's exactly. For some reason, they don't take it from me. That's weird. I give this match an A.
Okay,
I liked it.
Fair enough.
I don't think I'm gonna ever give a match an F. I feel like I'm two stars in my eyes right now. I'm just so excited.
I love that. I love
awesome.
that. I'm gonna go with what do I have here? I gave it an A. I thought this was very exciting. I thought Cody did great. I thought Solo did okay. It's tough. He's trying. He really is. But I think with Roman back, we're gonna maybe start to see Solo kind of fade back into obscurity. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh no, yeah, they have to go full throttle with him
Oh.
at this point. They have to.
Something just hit my brain, and I have to ask you guys. Jacob Fatu looks like he legitimately
got hurt.
Very injured.
Oh, yeah, on the jump from the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
I didn't see. I heard them talking about it, but I didn't see the. Yeah, did it look like he got it? Oh, that's too bad.
I think that was supposed to go on longer than it did, and Solo had to improv because
I think Solo had to
he
improv.
actually could not get up.
Yep.
Okay.
In fact, I think there's already images out there of Jacob in like a big boot. So yeah, he might, and I think Triple H even said at the press conference, yeah, Logan Paul and Jacob Fatu got a little battered up during this. So
yeah, I bet Logan Paul didn't get hurt. Logan Paul, I bet, didn't get hurt, and that's their excuse to keep him off TV for a while.
Yeah, very good.
Honestly,
and guess what? Not mad about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Keep him off.
One bit, not one.
Yep. No. Yeah, I would. Oh, poor Jacob. That's too bad. I would give this match a B+ only because, and I really like it would be much lower had Roman not come back. Because I do think that. Solo's just not ready, and that's just maybe that's no fault of his own. Obviously, like, what's he gonna say? No, I don't want to get pushed into this huge position. Like, but it was too soon. They should have had him taking some time on his own and like forming the bloodline without Cody Rhodes before they did this.
Interesting.
I think personally, I think he put him up against have him fight Gunther even. I don't care. Like there should have been like something else where he is fighting someone else and establishing his own kind of street cred. Because right now he has 0. He has no street cred. It is bloodline 1.5. It's not even 2.0. Like it needs more time in the incubator. And I think people will still, if they have bloodline against bloodline, I think that'll still work out. But this idea that Solo Sikoa was supposed to be believable as a challenger for Cody Rhodes, I think is just a little silly.
That's fair. That is fair. All right, guys, we've graded the matches, but let's grade SummerSlam 2024 overall. Same set of standards, A through F, I guess. Brie, let's start with you. What do you give your first SummerSlam viewing experience, our new WrestleMania of the season, I guess?
Yeah. I think I'm going to give it like an A-. Like I was overall happy with it. There were some matches I was like less into and didn't care about. So it wasn't quite the caliber of WrestleMania. That's my only other real, that and Money in the Bank. But I feel like a solid A- for this one.
Love it.
Nice.
I'm gonna go with, what do I have here? I have an A. I thought this was a fantastic SummerSlam. I really think they took some risks and handed over some titles when they could have easily have just played it safe. I think they're really setting up the second half of the year with a lot of this, and I'm really excited. So overall, I can't wait to see what happens next. But I thought this was as good as a SummerSlam could be. So A for me.
I'm gonna go with a B. I think that IMAX in 2 years' time, SummerSlam is going to be 2 nights. I think that could have been very helpful with this particular event. And maybe give some other things a little bit more time to breathe. But I also, it's kind of a bummer we didn't get a single tag match.
Good. They were all singles matches.
No real. Like I know it was a Bloodline rules match at the end, but like no stipulation matches really. Like no kind of. Now that I'm gonna go B- actually. Now that I think about it,
and if we keep talking, we're gonna work to a D.
Yeah. Now that I say that stuff out loud, I'm just like, like even the Bloodline rules aspect of things, I was like, we've already seen people go outside of the ring. So
yeah.
So I'll go B-. I think I like that they took risks. I like where the board is currently. Like that's always the fun. If I'm interested in what's going to come next, so that's always good. I just think they had a lot of missed opportunities and a couple matches that I don't think were worthy of being on this card. So
that easily could have been a tag team match. Agreed.
It could have been a tag team match, like that DIY versus Bloodline. That could have happened for this night instead of move one of the other matches to SmackDown. Like I think that there was not enough of it was successful for me, but I still am excited to see what happens.
Yeah,
cool. Awesome.
Cool.
We did it, guys. We made it through SummerSlam 2024. Wow, we've been going for an hour 45. So let's let our audience go. Let's let Brie go. My God, you have stuck with us through this entire review.
Brie, thank you so much for coming to do this again.
I love this.
Like,
it's so
honestly,
fun. Thank you.
we love having you. So thank you so much.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Let us know.
You say it, right? Yeah. Where can people find you? Like,
what?
No, go ahead. No, now I'll say it. Socials, videos,
socials. Do the thing with the links and the stuffs.
Let me take this from you guys. Okay. You can find me you can find me on YouTube or Twitch, twitch.tv/BRIESBE. You can also find me, most of you will probably find me on YouTube. I don't know what the URL for that is, but it's BRIESBE, BRIESBE.
Nice.
And that's where I am.
Heck yeah.
Love it.
Awesome.
Go watch the reaction video, guys. I was cracking up. And thank you for the shout out, by the way, in that episode. A very pleasant surprise. I was like, oh my God. I had to like show my girlfriend. I'm like, she put us in the episode.
He texted me
and I'll do it again. Watch me.
I did text Andrew. Please don't put this last part in there.
Oh my gosh. No, I love
that's
that.
Embarrassing. Andrew, what? Wow, I just choked on my coffee. Andrew, you're gonna host the show by yourself now because I'm apparently gonna die. What do you got going on, buddy?
At Sanford-Son on Twitter, as always. My Instagram's private, so unless we're friends, don't do that. And then what else? My short horror film that I wrote and directed, Pay the Tithe. You can watch that on Vimeo. You can find a lot of my writing at Pajiba, PAJIBA.com. That's a great website. There's a lot of really talented writers over there. I will write about wrestling on there occasionally. And I'll just throw the seeds out there for this because it was just announced. If you're in the New York area in October, I wrote a Shakespearean version of Halloween a couple of years ago that Random Access Theater, who I work with all the time, will be doing a drunk reading of that in October 25th. Yeah, it's a fun one. Brie, Random Access Theater. It's this theater company in New York. They have their own space now called the Rat NYC, which even if you aren't going to any of the shows that I wrote, they have a lot of shows going on there that people should check out. It's in the heart of Dumbo in Brooklyn. They're an incredible theater company, and I have adapted a lot of New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Ghostbusters, Halloween, Ghostbusters 2. I've taken a lot of those movies and crammed them into 30 pages of iambic pentameter and rhyming verse, and they're a lot of fun.
That's so cool.
Thank you. It's a good time. We do staged readings. We get drunk. I wear a lot of wigs. It's fun. It's fun stuff.
I'm going. I'm sold.
Call me when you get to Season of the Witch, okay? No, I'm just kidding. I love Random Access. I love what you're doing there, man. It's amazing. Please check out everything Andrew's doing, guys. I should mention I have a virtual conference that I have founded. We had our premiere last year, and it was a huge success. So if you are hopping over here to the wrestling show from my UFO work,
you guys are so cool. It's crazy.
Oh,
you're cool. Get out of here. Knock it off. You're cool.
Ryan on the news or something. I was like, what is happening?
Oh, for good reasons. I hope.
Yeah. So cool.
Oh, thank you. Well, if you want to check out more,
Brie was like, that sketch looks familiar. And I can't quite place it. Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Anomicon. Check out Anomicon, my free virtual conference. I have over 24 speakers talking about everything from
that's right.
witchcraft to ghosts to UFOs to what else do we got? Bigfoot. We've got a couple lake monsters in there. It's a extremely inclusive event where you're going to hear voices you haven't heard before in the realm of the unknown and the anomalous. So please check out Anomicon, September 1st and 2nd. You can learn more at anomicon.com. And other than that, check out Somewhere in the Skies, my weekly UFO podcast. And also check out our Patreon, guys, here at Somewhere in the Ring. We're doing a lot of bonus content. We just did a Defy wrestling match, Cody Rhodes versus Swerve Strickland back in 2017. So you can help support us at patreon.com/somewhereinthering
I just bit my
podcast.
tongue so hard, like, and I
Did you?
barely said anything, and I bit my tongue so hard.
You're just so excited about our Patreon.
I know I'm home, but I have to go home.
You gotta go home. Go to the school nurse.
Yeah.
Oh,
On that note, guys, I'll say goodbye for us since Andrew bit his tongue. But before we do that,
now.
it's gone. Okay.
It's a husk of smooth,
Ugh.
fleshy meat.
Ew.
Yeah. Oh, you think I'm
You can
happy
really
about
slap
this?
with it. You can really slap with it.
You think I want this? This just happened.
Wow. Okay, so Brie,
I gotta ring the bell.
ring the bell, man. You know what's going on. You know
Here we
the
go.
game.
Here it
That's
goes.
it.
Ring, ring, ring. Woo!
Yeah.
Classic. Classic.
This has been Somewhere in the Ring. Thank you for listening. Subscribe wherever you get your pods, and be sure to rate and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever possible. We'll see you again soon, somewhere in the ring.
This has been a production of LIONSGATE Sound. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever possible. Thank you for listening.